Yes, I saw your spot on news the other day on the danger LA is facing and thought you needed more time to explain the seriousness. Will you give just a little more time on the After Dark show?
It's about homelessness?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's gotten crazy.
It's out of control.
It is. It is. I've been doing a lot of work with homeless organizations in LA for a long time, and it's never been like this. What do you? My armchair philosophy is that there was such a boom over the last 20 years of new developments, but all of those developments are in consideration of
this isn't a housing problem.
High income.
This isn't a housing problem.
It's not.
No.
What is
that's a hoax. That's a hoax being perpetrated by the government here locally. They need to stop.
That there isn't, because it seems
like... Of course we have housing expense issues, but we just absorbed 1 million illegal undocumented immigrants without a home, without a country, without a job, without a penny. We absorbed them. They found a place to live. It's a hoax. So it's a mental health crisis and addiction crisis, full on. So it's Prop 47, Prop 57. So people came out of the prisons, and people that had mental illness that shouldn't have been in prison in the first place, frankly, ended up on the streets. And then because we made drugs legal essentially in California, all my people are here. My patients came by the tens of thousands. Wow. And so the drug users are here now because they don't get hassled. And if you're a drug addict, then you know it's warm and you don't get hassled. And by the way, you can steal and not even get hit for a misdemeanor. You can steal $950 a day and not be hit for anything. Just get a ticket.
How do you consider, what is stealing $950? That sounds so specific.
It's new Prop 47, 57 laws, which is they took all these felonies and they made them misdemeanors, including stealing up to nearly $1,000 a day.
I see.
So if you have a habit of $1,000 a week, you're fine. You just steal a couple things or stand out in front of the freeway and
I've been seeing just tent cities everywhere.
It's out of control. It's everywhere. But here's my concern. I feel horrible for these people on the streets, and I can't abide by it. And the fact that the government is continuing to hoax us about it being a housing problem. Yes, we have a housing problem. It's a separate issue. We have a mental health crisis in this city. And what concerns me is the people go, why are you so concerned now? There's one word: rats. Have you seen what's happened with the rats? We have like 12 million rats in Los Angeles now. And the last time we had more than 2 million, plague broke out. Plague is endemic in the area. So we have typhus, right? And so I knew typhus would break out. It broke out last summer. It's coming this summer. Make sure you control your pet's fleas. It's sort of a downer to get into this, but let me finish it. Plague, if 2% of the rat population harbors plague, humans will get plague. Wow. And that's all we need and with the millions of rats we have here, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Hopefully it won't be bad, but typhus is going to be bad. If measles gets into this population, this is a not medically well, not properly immunized group. Measles will rip through. Tuberculosis is breaking out like crazy. Non-tuberculous AFB is breaking out. And we had typhoid fever 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's profound what could happen here. And we've had 1,000 die so far this year. How many have to die before? I mean, they're tarps. You see the tarps around? There's homeless people dead. When's the city going to drop their hoax and start really, really helping people? It's unconscionable.
What do we do?
Well, there's a couple things. I just found out today the fire chief has the opportunity to bring up something called I wrote it down. It's like a hazard, like a imminent hazard, like a catastrophe plan. He can do that. I'm trying to get behind the qualified immunity of the politicians so we can go after them for reckless negligence, which they are. They're recklessly negligent.
What does that mean?
They are engaged in behavior and clinging to policies that are directly harming human beings, causing death directly. And I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I'm sick of it. I wake up every day freaked out about it. So, and as a physician that's practiced in so many decades in this area, I kind of know how infectious disease work here. Yeah. I see what's coming. I literally feel like I'm on a railroad track and there's bridges out. And I'm like, the bridge is out. And I'm getting the finger from the conductor. That's what I feel like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait about a month, and if this thing ramps up, I'm going to slowly put pressure on the fire chief to see if he would be willing to call it an emergency. Yeah. If enough people die. I mean, how many have to die? Think about that.
Jesus.
And by the way, the other thing we can do is expand Lantern and Petrus. We have this act that back in the 60s, when people needed treatment, they got treatment. It was called need for care. And right. That's it. They got care. Well, that resulted in some excesses, right? Psychiatry was doing lobotomies and Thorazine and things. That's not going to happen anymore. But because of those excesses, we decided that need for care is no longer a criteria. You must be imminent harm to self or other. there's a giant distance there. We could fill in with other things like difficulty meeting your medical needs, difficulty meeting your nutritional needs. If you have areas where if you had dementia and these things were happening to you and people didn't help you, you'd be inhuman. But because psychiatric illnesses cause the same symptoms, you can't touch that. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Well, this has always been an area of interest in mine, especially because when I first came to California, it seemed like there were so many homeless people. And back when they were developing the geodesic dome cities, I got really involved with that project.
Was that Ted Hayes? Yes, Ted Hayes. So I'm talking to Ted regularly. We're trying to figure something out.
Well, because it has always been, or at least until I believed the housing hoax, I have always understood that it's as simple as people having some kind of medical or mental concern, them not being able to pay for their medicine, them not being able to stay employed, and them not being able to keep their house. And then once you're on the street, it's nearly impossible to recover. So part of what I got involved in with the most was the transitional housing and the job training.
There are people that need that for sure.
Yeah.
Those aren't the ones that are going to die in the street.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are in trouble. They're transient. They're using sources. And there's a lot of those people. And they need help, and there's a lot of help out there for them.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that you've got an ally. If there's any way that I can help, this is such a real close to home issue for me.
They keep pointing at that population. I'm like, yes, that population needs our help, but we are helping them. The piece that's emergent are the people that are talking to themselves, shooting up heroin, shooting up meth, and languishing on the streets. You see them.
Yeah.
They're not going back to work, and they're not going to be able to pay rent.
No,
that's not going to happen.
And the average person standing on the side of the freeway with a sign is still physically caring for themselves somehow, Like the average person, they seem like they've got you don't see people truly run down and degraded the way that...
There's no food problem.
Yeah.
Food isn't the problem, because the rats that's why we have the rat problem, because the food is all cast out onto the street and stuff. Really, it's complicated. It's not complicated. It's actually simple. Expand Lanterman Petras, expand conservatorship, and let's start helping get these people treated, and let's get them back to living.
Where's that start? Is it at the mayoral level? Is
the mayor has to start talking about it as what it is, which is a mental health crisis and an addiction crisis. And we're probably going to have to enforce drug laws, because you have to motivate drug addicts to get better. And how else are you going to motivate them? And so all I know is they're going to die if we don't. They're going to die. These are not static disorders. They're progressive disorders.
Yeah.
And they're going to die. And so I can't live with that. I can't live in a city where people just allow people to die on the streets.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific.
It's unbelievable. I'm glad you're doing the piece you're doing, because there are people that need those services like crazy.
But at the same time, if you want to offline this with me, I'd love to talk to you about ways that we can
we'll do it.
Do something.
Sorry, guys in the back. I hear you're not laughing at this one, so it's all right.
No. This is great. It was
an email. It was a legitimate email. But I'm overcome thinking about this all the time. And of course, they're all my people I know how to take care of. I've to take care of these populations for years and years and years. And I see it, and I see what's happening, and I know what it is. And it's insulting to have our government officials insist it's a housing problem. There's a housing problem.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And there's massive need for what you've been working on, the transitional housing and the job. Fantastic. But people are doing that. That part we're getting that part. This part of the really seriously ill that don't want help and refuse help and refuse housing and are at risk for or getting infectious diseases.
And growing by the thousands
and
all the time.
And progressing. That's the part that go, well, if they want to live in the street, you're committing them to death. That's okay with you? Not okay with me.